What even is a roller coaster? Depending on who you are, this could be an easy question. Let's check the dictionary for the answer. Roller coaster, an amusement park attraction that consists of a light railroad track with many tight turns and steep slopes on which people ride in small, fast, open cars. My opinion? This is not the best definition. I know it's easier to figure out what a roller coaster is just by looking at it, but I wanted to jump down the rabbit hole and really get to the meat and potatoes of this topic. If you like this style of video, make sure to subscribe as I have much more of these coming as time goes on. I would call this a crash course, but that doesn't sound very safe. This is the first of a new series where I'm breaking down all of the various aspects of this question. This video is intended as a beginner's course, so we can all be on the same page. So let's try again. What even is a roller coaster? To begin, I'm going to give my simplest possible answer to this question and dive in further. A roller coaster is an amusement device usually made of either wood, steel, or a combination of both, designed to use gravity to propel a train through a predetermined course. This course is designed to provide moments of gravitational forces not often experienced in day-to-day life. Roller coasters are often the main attraction at many of the world's major theme parks and come in a large variety of shapes and sizes. There. If this is all you're looking for, you can leave the video now. For the rest of you, here's where we dive in head first. In order to not make this confusing, I want to start off by introducing some basic terms. Term number 1, train. A train is the series of cars you sit in on a roller coaster. It can consist of one or many individual cars. This is what navigates around the track. Term number 2, car. A car is the thing where you sit. Sometimes the seats in a car are in a 2x2 layout, some feature 4 cross seating, and some consist of individual seats. A car has the restraints and sometimes has a floor below your feet to where you can rest them. Some roller coasters, however, have no floor. These are sometimes called floorless coasters. Term number 3, station. The station is where the train stops temporarily so that riders can simultaneously exit and enter the train. There is often one or more ride operators manning the station who go around and check the restraints on the trains and ensure that riders can safely enjoy the ride. Term number 4, block zones. Let's consult El Toro Ryan on this one.
For those of you who are unfamiliar, a block zone is a section of a ride that only one train may occupy at a time. At the end of a block zone is a method to stop a train from proceeding into the next block if that block is occupied. This is the safety system that prevents roller coaster trains from colliding with each other.
Term number 5, elements. Similar to chemistry, roller coasters are made up of elements. An element is a small section of track that does something, anything. It could be a big hill that makes you float out of your seat. It could be a helix that spins you around and lets you out in any number of directions. Or it could be the first drop on a roller coaster. Sometimes elements go upside down. These are inversions. Term number 6, inversions. Inversions are elements where the roller coaster goes upside down, or mostly so. So if an element banks a coaster greater than 125 degrees, then it is closer to being upside down than right side up, and is considered an inversion. These come in many forms like loops, corkscrews, and even have crazy names like horseshoe rolls. More on that later. In order for a roller coaster to be a roller coaster, it needs a station, a train or cars, and a track. Now let's talk about what a roller coaster isn't. There are some more basic criteria we can use to recognize what is and isn't a roller coaster. In order for something to be considered a roller coaster, it needs to have a gravity-powered section, trains or cars for you to sit in. It, most of the time, needs to be at some form of amusement park, and needs to be designed to provide entertainment for its passengers. Is this a roller coaster? No. Why? Well, it's not at an amusement park for one, and doesn't have aspects that are intentionally designed to thrill or entertain riders, and it is completely powered the entire time. Is this a roller coaster? I mean, technically, but no, it's a video game. What about this? This has to be a roller coaster. As compelling as it may seem, this is still not a roller coaster. Yes, it has gravity-powered sections, yes, it has a track of sorts that it flows through, and yes, it is designed for entertainment. Water rides, unless they have a section that is not encompassed in a flume of water, are not considered roller coasters. So is this a roller coaster? Well, it's close but not gravity-powered, so no, it's a flat ride.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Alright, if this isn't one, then I don't know what is. This has to be a roller coaster, right? Well, it depends. Yeah, some of these are and some aren't. We really are diving into semantics here, but sometimes when they have a gravity-powered section, they are, and sometimes they don't technically have a gravity-powered section, so they aren't. To be honest, it is a bit convoluted at this point. So we know what isn't a roller coaster, but what is? Well, let's ask this question. What is can be if is it be? In order to answer that question, we need to consider this additional context. It is be, but it can't be. So considering that, and if you take the third tripolynomial of the substantive hypoconverter and substitute in Hydraul's constant, you get this, a roller coaster. And this, also a roller coaster. And this, also a roller coaster. Even though this here doesn't entirely seem like it, yes, it is a roller coaster. It ain't much, but it's honest work. And what about this? You're telling me this is a roller coaster? Well, yes, because of this little dip right here. Ain't she a beaut? Look, don't give her a hard time. She's already self-conscious enough.
Well, hi there, I'm a cowboy.
Now that we know what does and doesn't constitute a roller coaster, let's check out the sections that roller coasters usually have. I will go into further detail on some of these topics, so if you don't understand now, that's okay. There will be more videos coming your way that'll help. Roller coasters often come in two major flavors. Ones with lift hills, or blueberry, and ones with launches, or strawberry. These often big old blueberries usually have a chain-driven lift hill and are easy to spot by their often big, huge, tall first hill.
Lift.
If you notice the tallest hill on a coaster often going at roughly a 30 to 50 degree incline, and then a much steeper, often at least 40 degrees or more decline, that's most likely a lift hill, but not always. Roller coasters slowly click-clack up these hills and rush down the first drop. If a coaster doesn't have a lift hill, then it probably is a strawberry. Usually you can figure this one out quickly if you don't see a lift hill. One other method of spotting a launch coaster is the white fins often present in the middle of the track. These coasters are launched in a variety of manners. Some are propelled using either a winch attached to a hydraulic propulsion system or a flywheel. Others use magnets in the form of linear induction motors or linear synchronous motors. I will explain in greater detail what the differences between these launch types are in a later video. As their nicknames imply, strawberries are sweet and tangy with a specific potency to them. And blueberries ease you into their delectable flavor. Throughout the course of a ride, you traverse through various elements and inversions. Inversions are mainly only present on more extreme coasters. These come in many shapes and sizes, all designed to subject riders to varying forces. At the halfway point, or close to that, roller coasters often have what is called a mid-course brake run.
Whoa there, friend, you might need to slow down.
This brake run is usually a block brake positioned so that other trains on the track can have an uninterrupted ride experience. The mid-course brake run is what often allows multiple trains to be on the course at once without the worry of colliding. After some more elements, you find yourself moving into the final brake run, which can have a few sections. There is often the ability to stack multiple trains or have multiple trains waiting on the brakes at a time. If this is the case, then right before the station is what are called holding brakes. This is where the train waits outside the station so that the train ahead of it can be loaded and unloaded. Take a look at this overhead showing the different block zones present on Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. As you can see, Kumba has two main zones after the first lift hill, and has several smaller sections where trains can be stopped throughout. One of the easiest ways to figure out what type of roller coaster you're waiting in line for is done by simply looking at it.
I have special eyes.
Look with your special eyes.
My brand!
Is it a mild family coaster or a more extreme multi-looper? There are a lot of different classifications of roller coasters, and it helps knowing what each one is so you can know what to expect when you're about to get on a roller coaster for the first time. There are coasters which are classified by their height, like hypers, gigas, and stratas. Hypers are defined by either having a tallest drop of at least 200 feet or a max height of at least 200 feet. Giga coasters are slightly bigger and have a drop or max height of at least 300 feet. Finally, there's strata coasters, which have a drop or max height of at least 400 feet. Don't mind the shape of the only two strata coasters in existence. Their parks were compensating for something. Beyond this, we have racing coasters, wooden coasters, water coasters, family coasters, terrain coasters, kiddie coasters, shuttle coasters, just to name a couple. Oftentimes, when a coaster is over 200 feet or more, they tend to focus on providing an experience that generally does not have inversions. This isn't exactly the rule, but it is more common to find coasters of this height without inversions than it is with. Family and kiddie coasters are more mild experiences designed to not be too frightening for smaller riders. Some coasters are classified by how their layout is designed, like terrain coasters. These rides follow the hilly or uneven terrain and often stay low to the ground while maintaining somewhat a higher speed. Other classifications come from the type of track that a roller coaster has, like water coasters. These coasters have sections that take place on roller coaster track and other sections that take place in flumes, where they are carried by water. Most smaller theme parks have a mix of family or kiddie coasters, while larger coasters like multi-loopers and hypers are easier to find at parks that are owned by chains like Six Flags and Cedar Fair. This is mainly due to the higher cost associated with larger rides. Roller coasters are built using incredibly sophisticated technology and prove that in the way they are designed. Obviously, not everything is 100% perfect, but roller coasters are considered one of the safest entertainment attractions out there. One of the technologies used to ensure that your experience riding these coasters is safe are block zones. As defined earlier in the video, these are designed to prevent roller coaster trains from entering the same section of track to eliminate the risk of them colliding with one another. Another standard feature is the fact that, in the event of a power outage, the default state for all brakes is to remain closed. This means that when unpowered, all brakes on a roller coaster will stop any incoming trains. While the stoppage may not be the most pleasant feeling to the riders, this is the ultimate fail-safe in case of any catastrophic failure. There have been some cases where these systems have failed due to various reasons though. One instance would be the accident that happened on the Smiler at Alton Towers on the 2nd of June in 2015. In this accident, a fully loaded train collided with an empty train that had stalled during a portion of the ride's course. The roller coaster's safety system did attempt to stop the loaded train from continuing to the next zone. However, ride operators present that day, most likely out of a sense of urgency being pushed on them by management, overrode the e-stop and forced the loaded train to proceed into the next zone. This then led to the collision. This situation was a heartbreaking reminder that theme parks need to take safety very seriously, and that if they don't, the consequences can be dire. The good news is, this kind of situation is not common, and the sophisticated safety systems implemented on roller coasters do an effective job at preventing accidents from happening. Often the most common cause of accidents at theme parks is caused by poor maintenance or negligent park operators. This was far more common in the early days of amusement parks, but is much harder to come by these days. One other aspect built into roller coasters in order to ensure your safety is the restraints. Restraints come in a few different forms, but they all are designed to do the same thing, to keep you and other riders from flying out of the train. Some restraints make different sounds. For instance, ratcheting systems make a clicking sound not too different from the click-clacking that a train makes when it's on its way up a lift hill. If you don't hear clicking, then these restraints are locked using hydraulics most likely. There is a misconception out there that over-the-shoulder restraints are safer than lap bar restraints. This is spawned due to a lot of reasons, but realistically speaking, these restraints are no more or less safe than each other. Lap bars provide a very open feeling that provides maximum comfort and mobility for the rider. One drawback to lap bars is that they don't do an incredible job of keeping you upright during rapid transitions. Some coaster manufacturers have solved this problem by adding sides to the seats to keep riders in an upright position. Take the seats on Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, for instance. Roller coasters with over-the-shoulder restraints by design do a better job at keeping riders upright. The common complaint these restraints get, however, is their propensity to cause pain for riders. Unless you are riding somewhat defensively, keeping your head as still as possible, you are very likely to hit your head and maybe even your ears up against the insides of these restraints. This can overall make a ride experience quite unpleasant and help scramble what little brain cells we all have left. Some manufacturers like B&M and Vekoma have come up with a happy medium, vest restraints. These provide the structured restraints like over the shoulders, but are thin enough that you really can't bang your head around without any effort. This new style of restraint is proving to be a very popular design and can be found on most new B&M coasters that feature inversions. As time has gone on, however, lap bars have continued to gain popularity for their improved rider comfort and better overall experience. Roller coasters often inflict several unique forces onto your body as you ride. There are three major forces that we talk about when discussing a ride experience. These are called airtime, lateral forces or laterals, and positive Gs or floor time, as I like to call it.
Floor time! Airtime! Floor time! Airtime! Floor time! Airtime!
If you feel yourself flying out of your seat while you're going down the first drop or over a hill, don't worry, this is airtime. I guess you need to potentially worry if you continue going up while the rest of the train goes down. You're probably no longer sitting in your seat. This is one situation in which panic is a valid option.
If the laws of physics no longer apply in the future, God help you.
Otherwise, feel free to raise your arms over these hills and let the negative G forces lift you slightly out of your seat. There are two distinct types of airtime, floater and ejector. Floater is the kind of airtime you experience on rides like B&M Hypers. This airtime slowly lifts you out of your seat and gives you the weightless feeling. Ejector airtime is the real bucking bronco. Roller coasters built by the famous Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC, are often loaded with ejector airtime. This type of airtime is far more sudden and aggressive. Probably the most violent ejector airtime I have ever felt was the Triangle Hills on Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Moving on, we have positive G forces or floor time. These forces are common at the bottom of hills as well as tight turns and helixes. They plant you further into your seat and give you the sense of weighing more than you normally do. Roller coasters designed by Bolliger and Mabillard, or B&M, or Bolliger and Mabillard?
Bolliger und Mabillard.
Okay then. Anyways, roller coasters designed by B&M, like their inverted model, frequently feature multiple moments of high positive Gs. There's a lot more to be said about positive Gs, but this force, if taken strongly enough, can cause you to gray out. This is when your vision begins to partially darken as there is a lack of blood being supplied to your brain. Don't worry too much about this though. There are plenty of regulations in place to ensure that roller coasters do not exhibit these high G moments long enough to cause any harm to its passengers. Finally, we have lateral forces. These are very prevalent on the many Wild Mouse clones that exist at multiple parks throughout the world. Imagine sitting in the backseat of your dad's car and he decides he wants to drive somewhat fast, like he usually does. So you get to an intersection and he takes a turn really fast. As he does this, you get flung over to the side and end up squishing your sister. Congratulations, you experienced lateral forces. Wild mice exhibit this force on the sharp, unbanked turns featured on the first half of their layouts. Look out though, as if you aren't careful, you could easily hurt the person sitting next to you. I totally am not guilty of doing this. As you may have heard me earlier in the video, I've mentioned a few company names. Roller coasters and other amusement park attractions are made by a fairly small group of companies, each with the goal of providing thrilling rides in various form factors. Some of the big ones I have mentioned thus far are Bolliger & Mabillard and RMC. There are plenty of other manufacturers out there like Mach Rides, Vekoma, Gerstlauer, Zamperla, Intamin, Great Coasters International, Aero Developments,
6.5 hours later,
etc., etc. There are plenty more, but the ones I just listed are some of the more common ones you'll hear around in the amusement industry. Many coaster enthusiasts can spot which company made a specific roller coaster by paying attention to the style of the track, or sometimes the style of the train. For example, roller coasters built by Bolliger & Mabillard are very easy to spot. Their tracks feature a large boxy spine in the center and a somewhat V-shaped cross tie. Coasters built by Intamin, Mach Rides, and Gerstlauer can at first be more difficult to differentiate since their track, at least for older Intamin coasters, was in a triangular lattice style shape. In the case of wooden roller coasters, the quickest and easiest way to tell who made it is by looking at the style of the trains. In some cases, you will find the boxier, partially wooden trains built by Philadelphia Toboggan Company running on track built by the defunct Custom Coasters International. If the wooden roller coaster features more rounded trains that are 2 seats per car, that's probably built by Great Coasters International or GCI. Another way of figuring out who built a roller coaster is by looking at the design language used in the layout. If you're riding a wooden coaster that has a twisting layout with lots of swooping turns and quick transitions, you're probably riding a coaster built by GCI. Next time you visit a theme park, see how many different styles of track you see present. Are a lot of roller coasters the same? Then they were probably built by the same company. Let's talk about one of the reasons why so many individuals love roller coasters as much as they do: the history. The history of roller coasters is fascinating and features many turning points, and in some ways is a roller coaster all on its own. Throughout the years, there have been plenty of technological advances to lead us to where we are today. From the first roller coasters in 1817, sometimes called montaña rusa, or even scenic railways, these coasters look quite different to what we have today. In fact, it wasn't until 1919 that John A. Miller designed under-friction or upstop wheels. This was an extra set of pads or wheels put under a section of the track, specifically designed so that roller coasters would not fly off the track when cresting hills at high enough speeds. From there, we saw the first modern tubular steel tracked roller coaster opening in 1959 at Disneyland, which was Matterhorn Mountain. This coaster was designed by Aero Developments and would pave the way for their future success. The next advancement came from the 1990s when roller coasters were starting to be designed using computers. This allowed for roller coasters to be far smoother and provided much more in the way of rider safety as well as comfort. In came the term heartlining, where roller coaster transitions and elements were designed around the heartline, a hypothetical point placed right around the center line of a rider's chest. By introducing this into designs, it meant that roller coasters experience far less jerk or the rate of change of acceleration, usually in a sudden manner. This meant that roller coasters went from banging your head around to gracefully transitioning from one turn to another, so your noodles don't get too mixed up. But then, war. Specifically, the Coaster Wars.
Sure, it matters who's got the biggest stick, but it matters a hell of a lot more who's swinging it.
It's the year 1989. Your enemy has made its first strike. Cedar Point opens Magnum XL 200, the first coaster to exceed 200 feet, the first hypercoaster. What followed was a grueling 17 years where major theme parks built bigger, faster, taller in an attempt to show off crazier feats of engineering. What ended it was arguably one of the craziest coasters out there, King Dakar at Six Flags Great Adventure. This phallic beast stands 456 feet tall and set the record for the fastest top speed at 128 miles per hour. Six Flags was seriously having some little man complex here, as this creation still stands tall and proud above this New Jersey theme park. When getting into a competition, it's easy to say that Six Flags and New Jersey alike share the biggest member in the United States and even the world. Being scared back into their hidey holes, Cedar Fair and the likes retreated and showed off their true heightened speed, trying to send the message that smaller members matter too, with Maverick. Opening in 2007, this ride proves that it doesn't truly matter how big it is, it's how you use what you've got. With this new era of coaster design saw advancement in different ways, finally leading to the RMC Isnt. On comes the scene the little kid with big arms, and he's got a point to prove. Snapping his knuckles after being contracted by Intamin to build their prefabricated wooden roller coaster El Toro in 2009, RMC said, "I'm just getting started," and unveiled new Texas Giant in 2011. What made this coaster unique was its hybrid track and new and unique design language. It featured steel track on top of the wooden corpse of Texas Giant. The next coasters they designed after this really proved that a roller coaster doesn't need typical loops and corkscrews and variations of that. You can make the track twist in all sorts of directions. With this and the popularity of their designs, Rocky Mountain Construction set forth and revitalized the design of roller coasters as a whole. You started seeing coasters built by Intamin taking big hints from their designs. And then S&S started doing, well, whatever this is. RMC reigned supreme through the 2010s and seemed to be moving strong into the 20s. Don't forget though, the industry giants are still looming directly behind you, RMC. So where are we going next? This is a tough question to answer as nobody truly knows. What I envision being a big selling point in the future is seeing rides that cater to a far more immersive experience. Adrenaline junkies like coaster enthusiasts only make up a small portion of the annual attendance of most theme parks and thus are not entirely the target market. What I see happening potentially is more heavily themed attractions. Rather than theme parks opting to build larger, more extreme coasters, we may start to see more money put towards park experiences and immersive, smaller scale roller coasters. Ultimately, because of the advances in computer-aided design, as well as the reinvigoration of the field of roller coaster design, the possibilities are endless. We might even start to see more roller coasters with moving parts, similar to the swinging suspended coasters by Arrow. One example of this is the prototype S&S Axis coaster, which the first model is supposedly being built somewhere in Europe. Other than this, seeing more aspects of coasters being more sophisticated and becoming more efficient in their power use may allow for parks to build bigger and better. There is a lot to talk about when it comes to roller coasters, and there are way more videos I have planned in the future similar to this style. This is only scratching the surface on what makes a roller coaster what they are, and it's hopefully easy to see now why so many people are so passionate about this industry. I hope that this video can provide as a great introduction to those of you who are becoming interested in amusement parks and roller coasters. The theme park industry lives and dies by your attendance, so while Disney and Universal make the overall best themed theme parks out there, don't forget to give your local amusement park a visit because we can't be certain of the future, and who knows how long those might be around for. One great way to get connected with other people who are incredibly passionate about roller coasters is clubs and organizations. One of the biggest ones here in the United States is American Coaster Enthusiasts, or ACE. This is a wonderful organization that has set out to help preserve and spread awareness of roller coaster history. They've even helped to fundraise and restore classic roller coasters that would have been long gone if it weren't for their efforts. This is a vibrant passion to have, and I hope to see you at the park. Each of the topics I discussed today will be getting their own unique videos, so make sure to stay tuned. I plan on making this a regular feature of my content, so if you have liked this, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to leave a like and comment below and consider subscribing. I intend on uploading more content as time goes on and as Katie and I experience more parks and coasters. You can also find daily uploads on our Instagram page at Coaster Mania. Soon we'll be opening an Etsy page where you'll be able to buy prints and more of some of your favorite coaster photography of ours. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs.